Today in this video, we will look into one of the youngest and most passionate mountain hikers. We're talking about Emily Sotelo, who was a 19-year-old mountain hiker who climbed 47 mountains just at the age of 19 and intended to summit her 48th mountain before she turned 20. But life had got other plans for her. It turned out to be the last mountain she climbed, and she was found the third day after she died, on Wednesday, the day she turned 20. Now, there are so many questions that come into people's minds while listening to this tragedy. Was Emily not aware of the weather condition of the area she was going for trekking? Did she not check the weather? Did she have all the necessary equipment with her to survive the deadly frozen weather of the New Hampshire? This particular hike trip was a solo trip by Emily. She shopped for food that afternoon with her mother and then completed her homework too. She planned to start her trip on Sunday, 20. She woke up at 4, and at 4:30 a.m. her mother dropped her at Lafayette Place Campground in Franconia. It was planned that she would go for a 3-day trip, and on Wednesday she would meet her mother and celebrate with dinner at the Grand Mount Washington Hotel. It all looked fine till 5 a.m. when Emily messaged her mother and told her mother that she wanted quinoa, chicken, papaya, coffee, and water for lunch. It looked as if she would be back after 8 hours of her trip, but things started getting worse when at 11 a.m. Oliveira messaged Emily to know how she is doing and how the hiking was going, but there was no response from her. The weather forecast at that time showed that it had started snowing where Emily was at that moment, and that's when they knew that something was extremely wrong. Oliveira contacted her husband and asked him to get help to know where Emily is. The search mission was started immediately by the search agencies. Agencies like Rescue Team, the Androscoggin Valley Search and Rescue Team, Mountain Rescue Service, Pemigewasset Valley Search, the Upper Valley Wilderness Response Team, and the White Mountain National Forest all started looking for Emily. Since the weather on Monday was really bad, as a wild freezing wind was blowing, there was snow everywhere, and it went up to the searchers' knees and belly, so it took them 2 days to locate Emily. On Tuesday, with lots of hardships and struggles, few of the searchers were successful in finding belongings of Emily near the headwaters of Lafayette Brook. But as the weather was really bad and it was getting dark, the search for Emily Sotelo was called off for the day. On Wednesday morning, the search started again, and after almost 2 hours of extensive search, the searchers were successful in finding Emily Sotelo's body near the headwaters of Lafayette Brook, 3/4 of a mile, 1.2 kilometers, from the trail, at around 11:15 a.m. The 4-day search efforts were packed with a lot of hurdles like high winds, blowing snow, and freezing cold temperatures. Just to know and declare at the end that Emily Sotelo could not survive the harsh conditions of the New Hampshire. Oliveira reported that her daughter had checked the weather, and it seemed clear just to confirm she also checked the weather. But they only saw the forecast for the area where they were staying in Franconia, and that's the mistake that they both made. They didn't check this weather forecast for the region's higher summit. It was predicted to go below 5 degrees and below zero, -15 and -20 degrees Celsius, on Sunday, with wind gusts of up to 95 miles per hour. When Oliveira was asked about this, she said that the weather didn't look that bad. It seemed as if it was just another normal day. She also said that she didn't know much about mountains and the weather in the highest region, so she could not get the idea that it would be this bad. Along with this one big mistake, there was another that was reported after Emily was found. As per Keeneland, Emily was not carrying any necessary equipment that a hiker must have when he or she is going on hiking in such freezing cold weather. When the researchers looked into her stuff, they found no maps, no compass, no torch, no headlamps, and no matches. There was no backup battery pack too. However, New Hampshire Fish and Game Law Enforcement's Major David Walsh reported that when a hiker is planning to climb the New Hampshire, it is a must for him to be equipped with the necessary stuff, and more than that, a hiker must be prepared to encounter the worst situations up there. A hiker should be well aware of the weather conditions and should prepare accordingly. He must have suitable clothes. Extra clothes, headlamps, food, and match are a must to carry, but Emily, unfortunately, didn't have all this. And maybe this is the reason that she couldn't bear the brutal cold and died. Fish and Game Officer David Walsh warned the other hikers to stay active and come prepared when planning to hike on the White Mountains of the New Hampshire. Olivera had been devastated after she got the news of her young, passionate, and beautiful daughter's death. Only if her mother knew that this was the last hiking trip of her daughter, and she herself was dropping her to the place that would swallow her daughter to death. She also said that when they lost their connection with Emily on Sunday, she knew there was something wrong. When after hours they were not able to get in touch with Emily, she understood that she had died. She was then just waiting for her body to arrive. In her funeral speech, Emily's mother named her a shooting star that brightens the world with her shine and purity, but it burns so fast. She left when it was the peak of her life, when she was just about to enter her 20s and explore the world in a new way, but life didn't give her a chance. Once in an interview, she said that my daughter, my dearest Emily, was bent on making this world a better place to live in. She always wanted the best for people. But now she is no more, and she would do anything to bring her daughter back. But it is not possible. And this is what hurts, to realize that you cannot do anything to change what has already been done. People from the hiking community and family and friends of Emily Sotelo paid tribute by remembering her as a kind-hearted girl. She was always seen smiling, as one of her friends said. Jessie Callahan remembered her as scared and desperate. She said that once in summer, Emily was with her hiking, and it had been a treat to see this young woman being so addicted to it, and she had a great vision for her upcoming adventures. Callahan said that Emily was happy to be in the woods as if she belonged there. To pay her tribute and to give information about safety measures, Emily's parents have opened a non-profit foundation in her memory. This foundation represents both a recurring theme of her life and the lessons to be taken from her death. The name of the organization goes like this: the Emily M. Sotelo Safety and Persistence Foundation. Emily was known for her kind, humble, and sweet nature. From what we know, she loved to work for the betterment of people. She was also great with animals and provided deep care for a pet gerbil, and she also started a therapy project for the nursing home residents. Not only that, but she was also the head of the community service for the Door initiative and the PR chair for the Big Door, Lil Door. With so much love and passion for human betterment, she worked hard. But who would have thought that this young blood was not going to live it all? But that's just a small tinge of sadness. Emily already did a lot for people around her, and she was a human who knew the true meaning of being a human. And she proved it with her efforts and love towards her parents, friends, and people around her. With all this going on in her life, she was a dreamer too, who dreamt of being a hiker one day, and she became one. She had been hiking for the past 2 years before she died, and had climbed more than 40 mountains of New Hampshire's 48 peaks, over 4,000 feet, 1,219 meters. This is a dream of every young person who plans to become a hiker, and Emily lived this dream. But the dream to summit the 48th mountain was broken only before she turned 20.